Hey, this is Andrew Brown from Exam Pro, and we'll be covering how to create a basic report and dashboard. If you want to create your own report and dashboard instead of using a sample report, you will need a dataset. If you have your own dataset, then you can upload by going to My Workspace. Here you can upload your data from OneDrive for Business, SharePoint, or you can browse from your own PC. They must be a PBIX, RDL, or XLSX file. I'll upload the sales data economic analysis I downloaded earlier. If you don't have a dataset at hand, you can search for one online. There are plenty of sources on the internet that provide free datasets for you to learn and practice. For example, you can go to Kaggle.com, which is an online platform that offers a variety of resources for data scientists and machine learning practitioners, such as datasets and tools to facilitate collaboration and learning. I found a dataset here called Sales Data for Economic Data Analysis. I cleaned the data up a bit and trimmed some of the data to make things less complicated. You can use whichever dataset you find or want. Another way to upload data is simply copying or manually entering in data. So you can click on Create on the left side, click on Paste, or manually enter data. From your Excel file, Google Sheets, or any source that has a dataset, you can copy and paste the data into the table. If your data has headers in the first row, you want to click on the Use First Row as Headers. You'll also want to rename the table, so we'll rename this to Sales Data Economic. We can choose to auto-create report, create a blank report, or create a dataset only, but we'll choose auto-create report to use as a starting point. Okay, here we are free to play around with the current design we have. First, we need to change this to edit mode, so click on that. Then we need to change some of the data on the graphs to the data that we're interested in, and to ensure that the data makes sense because sometimes the auto-create report uses data like total sum of age, which is something we don't want. So I've chosen the data that I want for my graphs and the types of visuals that look appropriate for them. Now we'll be adjusting the size of the canvas and we'll try to go for a different look. To do this, we'll go to the Format page, then Canvas Settings, and we'll want to select a custom type so we can change the height and width that suits the report. We can enter in something like 1000 pixels height and 1200 pixels width. You can choose what you think is best. After that, we'll be moving around the graphs and visuals to see where we want to place them or if we think it looks suitable. We'll also be adjusting the sizes of the graphs and visuals so it makes sense or looks decent enough. I'll be speeding through this section because it's mostly just adjusting the graphs positions and making sure they align well with the canvas so you won't be missing out on anything too important. We want to try something a little unique, so we'll be providing it with a dark background. You will need to go to Format page, then click on Canvas Background. Change the color to a dark color and lower the transparency so that it's visible. You can also use an image that you have on your personal computer by clicking Browse. We'll be using a dark blue gradient background we found with a simple Google search. After seeing the white boxes, I've made a few more adjustments to the placements of the graphs. We will need to remove the white boxes from the graphs and text boxes, so we'll need to click on Effects and turn off the background. So we'll have to adjust the font to white so it's easier to read. We'll need to do this for these visual cards, so it's the same process. Click on Category Labels, then change the font color to white. Then on the callout values, also change the font to white. For the graphs, we'll need to turn the background off, so click on General, then click on Effects, then click the toggle to turn the background off. Then you need to click on Visual, then click on the X-axis. Here, you will need to change the value font to white. Then you will need to change the title font to white. You will also need to change the font color to white for the Y-axis. You will need to change the title font to white, so you'll have to click on Data Labels, then click on Values, then change the font to white. You will need to change the title font to white. I realized I forgot to change the transparency to 0, so you'll be able to see the dark blue gradient. So, as you can see, it's starting to look better. We'll continue to change the fonts for the remaining graphs. We will apply the same steps like the sum of revenue by month graph. So we'll need to change the x-axis and y-axis fonts to white, and we'll need to change the color of the title and data labels to white, and we need to turn off the background. So we'll be speeding through this process since we already know how to execute this. The bar colors look a bit plain, so we'll add a gradient effect to make it look more interesting. To do this, we'll click on Format Visual, then click on Bars, then click on the FX button. The default gradient color they provided looks decent, so we'll press OK. We also want to turn off the legend, since it automatically turned on once we applied a gradient. We'll try to apply this to the other graphs as well, so we'll go through the same procedure. Click on Bars, then click on the FX button. We want to keep the orange color to mix it up a bit, so we'll try to find lighter orange for the minimum, then we'll find a darker orange for the maximum. Then click OK. We'll also want to get rid of the legend, since it doesn't look too appealing in my opinion. Same process for the final graph. We'll also give it a gradient. Okay, so this looks fine. It's not perfect, but it's definitely more interesting than the default design that they provided for us. After that, you can save the report, and we can do the same thing as we did in the previous video. Pin to dashboard and pin live. So all in all, you can customize and design the report however you want using all the tools, effects, colors, visuals available in Power BI until you are satisfied with your design.